Hi everyone, my name's Anthony Cummins and today I'm going to ask you some awkward questions about the samurai. Now I've done this video in support of the Book of Samurai. We're trying to get the information out there, so if you want to know about samurai, go and have a look at this. So first question, if samurai fight to the death, why do they have tactics on how to retreat? If samurai are loyal to the death, they're the idea of loyalty. Why do we have Tokugawa Ieyasu who steals the throne from someone he's promised on their deathbed he will maintain for their son? And why do we have Ishida Mitsunari who basically has his lord killed so he can steal the power? If samurai don't fear death, why when they're told to commit ritual suicide is the handle taken off the sword? And is there someone waiting to kill them in case they get up to fight because they don't want to die? If Koryu, the old schools of samurai ways which are taught today, are the real way that samurai used to fight, then why is it that Miyamoto Musashi actually complains about the samurai of his time in about 1643 and says they don't know how to fight? All these schools that are popping up and all these schools that are being taught, he says they just don't have a clue about real combat. If samurai are fair and honourable and they follow the way of Bushido and peace, why do the peasants revolt? If the way of the samurai is not to seek violence, it's not to go to war, then who are they fighting? If Iai and Bato Jutsu are about quickly drawing your sword in an emergency to kill an opponent that's come upon you, or you're in a situation where you need to get out quick, why is it always shown to be really slow? And why do these masters never show their full speed and full skill in really awkward situations like just turning around a corner or bumping into someone or being accosted by someone? It's always very slow and very artistic. If samurai only fight man to man as an honourable duel, why does the word tsukedachi exist, which means someone who supports you in a fight? So in samurai history it was okay to have an assistant when you fought someone else and they fought with you. Now a samurai should never sit down with a sword in his belt except when he's at a seppuku ritual or he's going to arrest someone. So why is it that most Koryu kata have so many sword techniques from the sword in the belt when they're kneeling down in seiza? Now most Koryu and most Japanese arts are done from seiza, the kneeling down position. But there's actually the question of that came about much later, and it was to show your subjugation. So if you sat in front of someone who's a superior, you would kneel down. It was not actually a position they wanted to sit in. So why is it in all the Koryu arts? A common concept in samurai warfare and the way is shuhari, which means to start with the form and then to move and transcend beyond the form and keep it inside you but move on. So why is it then all Koryu masters show very formulaic, very ritualistic movement as though they only stayed at shu? If the katana is the soul of the samurai, why is it that their number one prestigious achievement is Ichiban Yari, the first spear? If the samurai were too honourable to use guns, why is it Japan became one of the largest gun manufacturers at that time period? If samurai and Japanese martial arts take decades to master, who's fighting in the wars? Seeing as samurai are eligible from the age of 15 when they become men. Right guys, some questions there. Stick around for the answers at the end if you want. But basically I've done this video to open your eyes and say, hold on, maybe everything we think about the samurai, everything in the popular imagination is not the reality. So if you want to know more about the samurai, definitely the Book of Samurai. This is the first two scrolls of a 1600s war school and it starts to answer many of those questions. For those who've stayed on and you want the answers, I'm going to go through them with you guys. So here we go. Right. If a samurai fights to the death, why do they have skills to retreat? Because they don't fight to the death. It's simple as that. When they're in warfare, they do retreat. They try to save their life. Some of them even run away. Some people may or may not fight to death, but they're known as the elite. They're the heroic warriors, like the costume of death. They're the very, very slim percentage at the top of a very, very slim percentage that go to fight to the death. Most of them do not want to go to their death. If they are loyal to the death, then why did Tokugawa and Ishida steal their positions? They're not loyal to the death. We know that. They're loyal to the payment. They get paid. But you do get some samurai that are loyal to death. These are like generational retainers. Or you do get some people who, once they've agreed to do something, even for the money, they will do it to the death. But on the whole, they're chasing cash. They're chasing money and land. Do samurai fear death? Of course they fear death. Everybody fears death. It's just, you know, one of those things. Even says in Book of Samurai, you know, samurai still fear death, but they should not fear it, you know, as much as everybody else. If Koryu are legit samurai schools, why does Musashi complain about them? Big question. Musashi says something's going wrong here with the schools, yet we all follow them blindly. Why do peasants revolt? Because the samurai are a feudal system. They think they're the top of the social pecking order and that they can pretty much do what they want to the lower classes. So they're honourable to each other but not the people below them. If samurai do not seek violence, who they're defending against? Of course they seek violence. They're land grabbing at the Sengoku time. In fact, it's all power plays. Feudalism is all about power playing. Bato Jutsu in the eye. Confused about this one. Everybody shows it really slow and graceful and all this, and I'm like, but I would like to see you do that walking, moving around the corner when somebody grabs you. It's all very well doing it slow and nice, and I get it's an artistic form, but that's not going to help me learn how to do it how a samurai did it when he got jumped by some thugs in the street. If samurai only fight in a fair duel, they didn't. Even Musashi's famous duel where he fights like a group of guys because they've come to all fight him. It was not always one-on-one and didn't have to be. A samurai should never sit down with a sword. This is a big one. I found pictures of them sitting down with swords, but on the whole they shouldn't. It should go to the side. But why do they use it in the Koryu? I've actually spoke to some grandmasters of some schools and they say that that was just added later. The actual technique was to stand up and do it. So it just goes to show there's definite change inside it. Seiza, this is a difficult one, guys. This one, basically I've read some articles on this and it says that it was introduced really late in the Edo period and in the Meiji Restoration. Doesn't mean these way of seating didn't exist. It just means that they were forced to do that. Samurai forced to do that to show their subservience, or school children were doing it to show their subservience. So everybody adopted this. I don't know what the date is, but it was definitely after the warring periods, definitely sort of mid-Edo, late Edo, and that's when it started to really get forced on people. Shuhari, this idea of you keep the form, you learn the form, then you keep it inside of you, and eventually you can just move freely with the form inside you. But all the grandmasters in Japan show very static, very clunky forms. If the sword is the soul of the samurai, the sword is not the soul of the samurai. This is a myth. Basically, before Hideyoshi, anybody could wear a sword. So it was only the fact that in the Edo period it became a symbol of the samurai. It meant that is a samurai. For Ichiban Yari, the first spear, that's the first to attack in battle, is still the #1 position. Having a sword just means you're of a certain social class. That's why it became important. If the samurai are too honourable to use guns, most of the guns are probably being used by Ashigaru here, so this one's a bit of a strange question. But we still have samurai groups using guns, that's not an issue, and they're definitely one of the biggest manufacturers of guns at that time. And in fact, some warlords took up the multi-firing positions. They loved it. They had full trained troops. It was awesome. You know, they didn't hate the gun. They absolutely took the gun on board and loved it.